Ray, turn off the TV, my mom shouted from the kitchen as she was preparing her packaged beef for dinner. Why? I asked. Because it's a huge waste of energy. Ugh, why? I thought to myself. It's not like turning off one TV is the end of the world. I mean, why is conserving energy such a big deal? No one's suffering and having a hard time if I don't. That night, after Ray finished eating a delicious dinner of packaged chips and roast beef, Ray toppled tiredly into bed. As Ray lay in bed, she thought about how nice it would be if her mom just didn't nag her about conserving energy. That night, Ray's bed traveled to the future. Suddenly, Ray woke up to water soaking under the bottom of her feet. As she whiffed in the bitter smell of salt water, and her throat began to drain and dry because of the tart taste of the water. She saw many puddles all around a mob of flooded, abandoned houses on rusty stilts, a metal roof. There were clothes hanging and no cars. Where am I? She wondered. Then she saw a girl up in one of the stilted houses. Who are you and where am I asked kindly. The girl looked up and croaked, You're in the Kittibis Islands. I am E. Kittibis. Our houses and land have flooded. Her voice sounded like she had just gulped down a massive glass of salty water. How? I asked, with gloominess in my voice. Climate change. People use their cars, cows, which produce methane, which is a greenhouse gas, electricities, and factories that use fossil fuels and emit way too many gases into the air, way too much. However, the people who use the greenhouse gases are the least affected, she said sourly. We face these problems every day. Seawalls break every day. Our main food source, which is fish, is going away because they can't live in the warm water, which is caused by developing and affluent countries. And they use way too many greenhouse gases. Our agriculture is disappearing rapidly, but it's not our fault. It's other people's. We need our story to be spread. Oh, I'm sorry. I can try and support the Kittibis. Okay, thank you, the girl said, and try and use renewable energy. It will really help us. Now it's time for me to go. The last thing that Ray caught from her was the importance of spreading the word about the impacts of climate change on the Kittibis Islands and how they needed help. Bye, I said. As I fell back asleep, I wanted to crack down into the hot surface of the earth. I felt so dreadful because I knew I needed to help the Kittibis people with the problems they are facing with climate change. As I drifted back to Slumberland, I thought about how I was going to help the Kittibis people. Soon Ray woke up in the deep dark sea to the smell of rotten fish breath. As she was paddling hard to try and find all the fish, she was thinking, where are all the fish? Then she remembered how her mother had taught her about renewable energy and how it would be better for the earth. She thought about how so lucky she was to live in an industrial country. She thought about how guilty she felt for not caring about climate change. Then she thought about how she was going to mitigate climate change on Kittibis. Then she realized that she had only seen about 5 fish. Shouldn't there have been more? After a bit, Ray got a bit of a scare when she saw the moldy bottom of a boat, then a massive paddle gracefully submerge into the water. She decided she would ask the people on the boat where the fish were. Then she bobbed out of the water and heard crying and decided to ask what in the world was going on. Excuse me, she shouted, pleading someone on the large boat would hear. Who is it? A guarding voice asked. It's me. Who me? Me who? The voice responded. What's wrong? I asked. Can I come on board? Sure, replied the man. As Ray climbed up the slippery boat, she thought about how she was going to help save the Kittibis people. When she got on deck, all she saw was a family. No belongings, nothing, just a teary-eyed family. I don't mean to disturb you, but Where are all the fish in the ocean, and what's wrong? We have to leave our home, our safe home that we have lived in for years. But because of climate change, we have to leave. Ray thought about what the girl in the stilted house had said, but it's not our fault. Then Ray drearily said, "Where are all the fish?" "They can't live in the warm ocean and climate, so they have to move, which means we do too. The fish are our food. The fish are part of our culture." "I'm so sorry," I said as I drifted back to sleep. I thought that because I was part of the cause, I also had to be part of the solution. Shortly after she dozed off, Ray woke up in the crown of the highest, greenest tree. There was someone riding their bike and no smell of factories. Where am I? Ray wondered. Am I in the future? No, that's not possible. This can't be the future, she thought. After pondering for a bit, she decided that this was the future. This was the future if people would commit to helping climate change, if people wanted this to be the future. Shortly after, Ray slumbered off and dreamt of the safety of the people in the Kiribati Islands.